You know what? I'm done staying silent about this. Triple H just made the biggest mistake of his career, and I'm about to expose exactly why firing Drew McIntyre at the Royal Rumble wasn't just disrespectful. It was a declaration of war against everything we love about professional wrestling. And if you think this was just another storyline twist, you haven't been paying attention. This is personal. This is unprecedented. And this changes everything. By the end of this video, you're going to understand why Triple H might have just destroyed his own legacy in under 60 seconds. Hit that like button right now if you're as furious as I am, because we need to talk. What's up, WrestleScope Nation? Welcome back to the channel, where we dive deep into the moments that shake the very foundation of sports entertainment. If this is your first time here, you've picked the perfect day to join us, because we're about to break down the most shocking, the most controversial, and quite possibly the most catastrophic decision in recent WWE history. Before we get into it, make sure you smash that subscribe button and ring the bell, because you do not want to miss what's coming next on this channel. Now, let's get into this absolute madness. Picture this: the Royal Rumble, one of the most iconic nights in wrestling. Fans from around the world tuning in with their eyes glued to the screen, expecting surprises, expecting dream matches, expecting magic. And then Triple H walks out, not to make an epic announcement, not to introduce a returning legend, but to absolutely obliterate one of the most dedicated, most passionate, most loyal superstars on the entire roster. Drew McIntyre, the Scottish Warrior, the man who carried WWE through the pandemic era when there were no fans in the building. The man who has bled for this company, sacrificed for this company, and given everything for this company. And what does he get in return? Public humiliation, a pink slip delivered in front of millions watching worldwide. Let that sink in for a moment. Triple H didn't call Drew to his office. He didn't have a private conversation. He didn't show even an ounce of respect for a guy who has main evented WrestleMania. No, he fires him live on one of the biggest pay-per-views of the year. Now, some of you in the comments are already typing, "It's a work, it's just a storyline." And to that I say, wake up. Even if it is a storyline, which we'll get to in a minute, the disrespect is real. The message it sends is real. And the consequences? Oh, they're going to be very real. To understand why this moment is so explosive, we need to rewind. Drew McIntyre's journey in WWE reads like a Hollywood screenplay. He was the chosen one early in his career, handpicked by Vince McMahon himself. Then he got released. He had to rebuild himself from the ground up, working the independent circuit, proving everyone wrong, and clawing his way back to WWE like a man possessed. When he returned, he wasn't the same Drew McIntyre. He was better, stronger, more focused, more dangerous. He became WWE champion at WrestleMania 36, and even though there were no fans there to witness it live, he held that company on his shoulders during the darkest period in its history. Fast forward to recent months, and things have been tense. Drew has been vocal about his treatment. He's been calling out the double standards. He's been demanding the respect he deserves. And apparently, Triple H didn't like that. Apparently, speaking your mind and standing up for yourself in 2025 WWE gets fired. Here's where it gets interesting. Triple H, the man who constantly preaches about respecting the business and doing what's best for business, just showed his true colors. This is the same guy who talks about creating opportunities and pushing the best talent. But when that talent dares to question him, when that talent refuses to just shut up and take whatever crumbs are thrown their way, out. You're gone. The hypocrisy is staggering. The lack of self-awareness is mind-blowing. And the fact that this happened at the Royal Rumble, a show that's supposed to be about creating stars, not destroying them, makes it 1,000 times worse. Now, let's address the elephant in the room. Is this real or is this a work? Because the wrestling world is divided right now. Half the internet thinks this is the start of the greatest storyline in years. The other half thinks Triple H has genuinely lost his mind. Here's my take, and you can sound off in the comments whether you agree or not. I think we're witnessing something we've never seen before, a worked shoot taken to the absolute extreme. This is Triple H taking the McMahon playbook and amplifying it by 100. He knows that in the age of social media, in the era of podcasts and YouTube channels like this one, controversy equals engagement, and engagement equals money. Think about it. Drew McIntyre getting fired generates more buzz than Drew McIntyre winning the Royal Rumble ever could. It gets people talking. It gets people angry. It gets videos like this one made and shared across every platform imaginable. From a business perspective, it's genius. From a moral perspective, it's disgusting. But here's the twist nobody's talking about. What if Drew wanted this?
What if you went to Triple H and said, make me the biggest story in wrestling, make people hate you, make them want to see me come back and destroy everything you've built? Because let's be honest, a fired Drew McIntyre showing up on independent shows, dominating international promotions, and building himself into an even bigger deal outside WWE, that's money in the bank. And when he eventually returns, and he will return, the pop will be seismic. The revenge storyline writes itself. Drew McIntyre versus Triple H at WrestleMania, Drew McIntyre winning back his career in the most brutal match possible, that's main event material. But there's a darker possibility too. What if this isn't a work? What if backstage tensions have reached a boiling point? What if Triple H is making an example out of Drew to send a message to the entire locker room? Don't question me, don't challenge me, or you're next. So where do we go from here? Let's play this out. Scenario 1. This is all part of a master plan. Drew spends a few weeks fired, makes some shocking appearances elsewhere, maybe even shows up at an AEW adjacent event just to send the internet into meltdown mode. Then he returns at a crucial moment, maybe Money in the Bank, maybe SummerSlam, and the entire WWE universe loses their collective minds.
Scenario 2. Drew is legitimately done with WWE's politics. He walks away with his head held high, becomes the hottest free agent in professional wrestling, and proves that you don't need WWE to be a megastar anymore. He could revolutionize what it means to be an independent wrestler in 2025, opening doors for others who feel trapped by corporate wrestling's limitations. Scenario 3, and this is the one that should terrify Triple H. Drew doesn't come back. He goes to a rival promotion and helps them build genuine competition against WWE. Remember, we've seen this movie before. Legends have left WWE and thrived elsewhere. Drew McIntyre has the talent, the charisma, and the work ethic to succeed anywhere. The real question is, what does this mean for WWE's locker room? Because right now, every single superstar is watching this situation closely. They're thinking, if they can do this to Drew McIntyre, a former WWE champion, a WrestleMania main eventer, what's stopping them from doing it to me? This creates an environment of fear, and fearful performers don't take risks. They don't push boundaries. They play it safe, and safe wrestling is boring wrestling. Look, I know some of you are thinking, it's just wrestling, why are you so worked up? And to that I say, this is exactly why it matters. Wrestling is at its best when the lines between reality and fiction blur, when we genuinely don't know what's real and what's scripted, when our emotions are invested not just in the characters, but in the people behind them. Drew McIntyre represents something bigger than himself. He represents every wrestler who's been told they're not good enough, every performer who's been overlooked, underutilized, or disrespected, every person who's ever had to fight twice as hard to get half the recognition. And when we see someone like Drew, someone who did everything right, who checked every box, who earned his spot, get fired like a nobody, it hits different. It makes us question everything about how this business operates. Triple H keeps talking about changing the culture of WWE. Well, culture starts at the top. And if the culture is shut up and do what you're told or get fired, then nothing has actually changed. It's the same old carny business dressed up in a fancy suit. So here's my final take on this absolute circus. Whether this is a work or a shoot, Triple H has created something powerful, emotion. Real, genuine, raw emotion. And in an era where so much of wrestling feels formulaic and predictable, that's actually valuable. But there's a line between creating compelling television and disrespecting your talent. And I think that line got crossed at the Royal Rumble. Drew McIntyre deserves better. The fans deserve better. And quite frankly, wrestling as a whole deserves better than public executions disguised as shocking moments. Now it's your turn, WrestleScope Nation. Do you think this was all part of an elaborate storyline, or did Triple H genuinely fire Drew McIntyre? How would you book Drew's return? And most importantly, whose side are you on in this war? Drop your thoughts in the comments below, because I'm reading every single one. If this video fired you up as much as the Royal Rumble fired Drew, then smash that like button, share this with every wrestling fan you know, and subscribe to WrestleScope for more brutally honest wrestling content that doesn't pull any punches. We're living through wrestling history right now, people, and you're going to want to be part of this community as it all unfolds. I'm out. Keep fighting the good fight, and I'll see you in the next one.